On April 27, 2007, a search and rescue team located the remains of Cory Kelly in Beltrami Forest after an extensive 6-month search. The discovery was deeply disturbing. Mr. Kelly's body appeared to have been bisected, with his upper torso missing and his lower extremities in an advanced state of decomposition. Scattered nearby were bleached bones, indicating prolonged exposure to the elements. Initial findings suggested a violent dismemberment prior to death. However, the case took on an even more perplexing nature due to the discovery of unsettling photographs on Mr. Kelly's camera. Let's go back to October 16, 2006. Cory, 38 years old, and his friend James Freed planned a hunting trip to Minnesota's Beltrami Forest. If you go 16 miles further north from the forest, you'd reach Lake of the Woods, America's 6th largest freshwater lake, right at the Canadian border. This area is a maze of lakes and peat bogs. The terrain is so rugged and swampy that even experienced hunters can get lost. Cory and James brought everything they needed for the trip, including James's yellow hunting dog. The forest had its share of white-tailed deer and moose, but most hunters came here for grouse. Beltrami is Minnesota's 2nd largest forest, full of rivers and interwoven lakes. To keep people safe, park officials had put up warning signs, telling hunters to avoid nighttime activities. That afternoon, around 4 p.m., Cory and James set up camp and decided to split up to cover more ground. They agreed to meet back at the campsite at 6:30 p.m. James made it back on time, but Cory didn't. When Cory finally stumbled out of the woods an hour later, he was sweating and looked rattled. He told James he'd gotten lost and asked, "Did you smell that awful stench while you were out there?" James shrugged it off, saying it was probably a dead grouse or maybe even a moose. Neither of them had any luck hunting that day, and James suddenly remembered his car was low on gas. He told Cory to stay put while he drove to town to refuel. "Don't wander off," James said before leaving. As James got in his car, he noticed a grouse just a few dozen feet away. Cory was already chasing after it as James drove off. Upon returning to their campsite at 9 p.m., James discovered it deserted and shrouded in darkness. Despite calling out for his companion Cory, there was no response. After an agonizing wait until 11 p.m., James initiated a search, retracing their earlier route. His efforts, however, proved fruitless, leading him to fear the worst. Distressed and seeking assistance, James encountered 2 unfamiliar individuals in the dense woodland. Although he couldn't discern their facial features due to the darkness, a pungent odor emanated from them. Their lack of firearms struck James as unusual given the hunting environment. They advised him to contact law enforcement immediately. Subsequently, James cooperated with an interview conducted by the Beltrami County Sheriff's Department. He clarified that neither he nor Cory engaged in substance abuse, but acknowledged Cory's use of painkillers following a spinal injury sustained during a prior hunting expedition. Describing their friendship as recent but strong, formed through shared fishing trips, James emphasized Cory's cheerful and responsible nature. He recounted that Cory had been pursuing a grouse when last seen, and that his phone calls went directly to voicemail. On October 25th, Cory's family, along with hundreds of volunteers and several agencies, arrived at the site to help with the search. They set up a large staging area, and helicopters and ground teams scoured the forest. 2 miles north of Moose River, searchers found James's dog, Sammy. The dog had gone missing with Cory, and it seemed Cory had taken the dog when he left the camp. By the time Sammy was found, he was severely dehydrated and malnourished. Cory sent samples of the dog's stomach contents and feces to a lab, trying to determine if it had eaten human remains. The results came back negative. There were no traces of human tissue, only dirt and grass. During the search, crews found several of Cory's belongings: his hat, a pack of cigarettes, some bullets, a lighter, and a glove. They also came across strange footprints, some of which showed that Cory had been walking barefoot. There were signs of a campfire, but it wasn't clear if Cory had made it. The footprints and items suggested Cory had been heading southeast, following a flooded drainage ditch into the dense, swampy woods. Almost everything they found, his belongings, the footprints, formed a straight line along this path. The search continued until November, but worsening weather forced them to call it off. On April 27, 2007, after the snow had melted, Beltrami County resumed the search with the help of 5 K9 units. The helicopter spotted Cory's remains in a cold, swampy forest. His body was found lying in a marsh, with his legs submerged in water. Disturbingly, his body appeared to have been severed in half. The upper half was completely missing, while his legs had turned to bare bones, some scattered nearby. What puzzled search teams was that they had already combed this area during the initial search, but the dense grass had likely concealed the body. Aside from Cory's decayed lower half, his camera, shoes, and hunting rifle were never found. The autopsy revealed that Cory's bones had been gnawed on by animals. But here's the strange part. What kind of creature could tear his body in two like that? Sure, the Beltrami forest has some wolves and black bears, but neither of them could inflict this level of damage. And Cory had his rifle and plenty of ammunition. As a hunter, he knew how to protect himself. His shoes, they think, were probably the last thing he took off well before everything happened. All the evidence points to Cory getting lost in the woods. James told Cory, if you ever get lost, head west. And Cory had a compass. So why did he go the wrong way? I don't know why he made that choice, James said. At first, Cory dropped smaller items, almost like he was leaving a trail for someone to find him. For a while, he must have still been thinking clearly. That's what the police said. The search for Cory's body continued through the end of 2007. Then in 2009, a hunter found something 39 miles away from where Cory's body had initially been discovered. There was a shoe soaking in water. Next to it, a blue jacket and a camera. After testing, authorities confirmed that these items all belonged to Cory Kelly, the man who disappeared in 2006. Here's where it gets even stranger. If Cory had walked to that location, he would have had to go non-stop for 14 hours without eating or resting. However, Cory's body was found in a swamp in the middle of Beltrami Forest, while the shoe and jacket were located way south in the Heron Lake wildlife area. So how did his belongings end up there? Perhaps the camera held the answer. When the photos were recovered, investigators found that some were taken on October 16th, 2006, the day Cory went missing, while others were from the 17th. This means Cory survived for at least 2 nights out there. The photos were unsettling. Some depicted scenery, trees, streams, and the forest, while others showed deep woods, places that looked like lairs or nests. One photo captured huge, human-like footprints, and another showed a massive underground cave. The remaining images are difficult to interpret. While photographic evidence did not clarify the circumstances surrounding Cory Kelly's disappearance, authorities have proposed a more straightforward explanation. They suggest that Mr. Kelly perished from hypothermia, and his remains were subsequently scavenged by animals. This determination classifies the case as an accidental death resulting from unforeseen events. Nevertheless, this conclusion is contested by some individuals. David Paulides, an investigator with the Missing 411 Project, which documents cases of unexplained disappearances, considers Cory Kelly's case a prime example of hunters vanishing under mysterious circumstances within national parks. Mr. Paulides posits that these individuals may be observed and targeted by an unidentified entity. In the instance of the Beltrami Forest, he suspects this entity to be a swamp ape, also known as the skunk ape, a creature akin to Bigfoot, but inhabiting lowland swamps and emitting a pungent odor. Despite investigative efforts, the precise details surrounding Cory Kelly's disappearance may forever remain unknown. The swamp ape is typically characterized by reddish-brown fur, though reports of black-haired sightings exist. Standing at approximately 7 feet tall, it is smaller than its northern counterpart, Bigfoot. Some researchers theorize that the swamp ape might reside in subterranean caverns, or even underwater, rendering it extremely elusive. Its most distinctive trait is an overpowering foul odor, attributed to a scent gland, making its presence readily detectable. Since the incident, Cory's rifle has never been found. To honor his memory, the 39-mile trail running from central Beltrami Forest to Heron Lake is now called the Cory Kelly Trail. As for James, he has been consumed by guilt ever since. After Cory's death, he gave up hunting for good. Sometimes I think, he said, Life has this strange way of flipping the script. Hunters go out there thinking they're in control, that they're the ones with the power, but in an instant, the hunter can become the hunted. The search for Cory Kelly was massive, involving 62 organizations in 2 countries working together, with 6,500 hours spent and hundreds of volunteers involved. Yet, even after more than a decade, Cory's case remains unsolved. His half-missing body, the cryptic photos on his camera, the rifle that vanished without a trace, and those 2 towering figures reeking of that nauseating stench. Who or what were they?